What is up? The doctor is back in the office, and today we're going to be doing a full card breakdown of UFC 322 JDM versus Islam Makhachev. This is card of the year. What a card that we got today. After 2 weeks of Apex slop with, Steve Garcia nuking David Obama, Deontay D'Elia versus Waldo fucking Saga, then fucking Gabriel Bonfim, we had to watch him sleep Randy Brown. It's a disgrace what we have to go through to get to this card, but whatever. We are here, and brother, we are going to show that Australia has wrestling. Let me show you that. JDM, we're fucking taking down Islam. It's going to be absolute scenes, but let's get into this card. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's start off with the early prelim opener of, Jesus, watch me butcher this Russian's name. Vyacheslav Borshchev versus Mateus Camilo. There we go. I'm going with Mateus Camilo here. Borshchev has fought some legit names in the division. I think he lost to Tom Nolan. He got subbed by Terrence McKinney. Hold on, there's one other name I'm forgetting in here. Oh, he had a draw with Nazim Sadikov, which actually has aged pretty well for him, but he struggles against guys who want to grapple him. And he got grappled. He got subbed really early against Terrence McKinney in his last fight. It was really bad. I think it was like a one-arm guillotine that he got him in. That was pretty brutal. Mateus Camilo, he was a decent prospect coming in the UFC. He got subbed by Gabe Green in his debut, but he landed some takedowns in there. And again, Borshchev, he struggles with dudes who can land takedowns. And people forget, man, I mean, Gabe Green, this guy had battled against Ian Gary, so you can't forget that. I know he lost, but also another thing I want to point about Borshchev, even though he is a 5'11", even though he is 5'11", and I guess is quote-unquote tall for the division, he's very thin. His shoulders are not very broad, and his arms are kind of thin, even though he has, a good reach, but he just isn't really that built of a guy, and Camilo's more built like a bit of a tank. That's why they call him the Jaguar. He's built like a Jaguar. He can grapple effectively. He's got finishing ability. This is also a short notice fight. Like, it got kind of just thrown on this card. Camilo, he'd been told by the UFC that he was going to fight like a couple cards ago, and then they just kind of threw him on here. So he's been kind of preparing for a fight. Again, Borshchev's been bad against grapplers, and he's lost legit dudes, but he's been struggling in the UFC as of late. Also got subbed by Chase Hooper. That was one of the other dudes I was forgetting. But he's going to struggle against the grappling heavy approach of Mateus Camilo. And I'm going to go with Mateus Camilo by decision. I think submission is an option here. I don't know the odds on it, but submission is definitely an option if you're looking to kind of get some plus money on there. Up the card, we go to Bisenger Susurkaev versus Eric McConico. I'm going to go with Susurkaev in this fight. McConico's, he's a step up from Eric Nolan, who Susurkaev fought in his debut. Susurkaev obviously had that great Contender Series finish. He's Hamzat's butt buddy. Dana White glazes the dude so much. I like that he's staying active, though. So even if you want to shit on Susurkaev, he is active, which I like. Even though I don't think he looked particularly amazing in the Eric Nolan fight. Like, Eric Nolan fucking clipped him in that fight, and he got cracked, but he turned up the grappling in that second round and got that rear naked in. I don't think... Listen, I would love to see Susurkaev get fraud checked, but this is not the fight. Minus 800 odds are almost insane for this, but he has good kicks to the body. He can kind of mix them up with either low or just onto your liver. And he injured Eric Nolan with a leg kick in their fight. And he might not be a great boxer, but Eric McConico really isn't anything special. He beat Cody Brunage. I think he's 1-1 in the UFC, but he didn't even look that good in that fight. It was a split decision win. And I think Susurkaev's going to learn from that Eric Nolan fight where he got cracked. Now he knows what it's like to be hit in the UFC. It's not the worst thing in the world to kind of get cracked and learn from it. Hopefully it kind of humbles him coming into this fight. I think I'm going to go with him by second round finish in this fight. Maybe he knocks him down or hurts him with a leg kick and then finishes him on the ground. I think McConico is enough of a crafty vet that he can kind of not get finished in the first round and make it slightly difficult for Susurkaev. But I'm going to be interested to see this dude fight an actual middleweight, because Eric Nolan was not I think he was a welterweight going up a weight class, and McConico was like a light heavyweight at one point, and now he's coming down to middleweight. So he's fighting a bigger dude, which I think is one of the only interesting things about this, to see how he kind of handles somebody with real UFC size who's fought who actually has experience. I'm going to go Susurkaev versus by round 2 finish. Up the card, we go to Angela Hill, the auntie herself, versus Fatima Kline. I'm going with Fatima Kline here, New York. I think she's from like literally outside of Poughkeepsie, so she's really not from New York. But Angela Hill's fucking 80 years old. That's kind of the problem. She's old as shit. She's a Jesus, there's some fucking crime going on outside my apartment. But she's 13-15 in the UFC. She'd be the definition of a crafty vet. Fatima Kline, she's a lot bigger and rangier and is actually a well-rounded women's fighter. She has 2 nasty finishes in her last few fights, and she lost her debut, but she has clearly bounced back for that. She could strike pretty well. And she's out on a nice little run in this strawweight division now with 2 finishes in a row. And at the end of the day, Angela Hill, she hasn't really been good for a minute, obviously losing 2 of her last 3. I don't know what the fuck is going on outside. And the losses just keep piling up at this point. How much longer do you have? You're almost 41. Credit to her for still fighting, you know. A lot of women at this point in their life would just fucking go home and, I don't know, stick to the kitchen or something. But Angela Hill, she's still going out here trying to scrap, but she hasn't looked the same in a while. Fatima Kline is a really, I actually think, a pretty talented women's fighter. And I think she can get finishes. Hill's also smaller than her by a couple of inches. But I will say, Angela Hill, she's enough. She is a crafty vet. I think she can at least stick in this fight for a little bit and avoid getting finished. If there is a finish in this fight, it'll be Fatima Kline, either first round or very end of the third round. I'm going to lead Fatima Kline by 3rd round decision. Angela Hill, buddy, I hope you put down your gloves in the middle of the octagon. And I think they're going to do a tribute. This is my sources. If Angela Hill loses this fight, I've heard from my sources inside the UFC, they're going to give her a retirement video, a la Anthony Smith-esque. Like, Poirier's going to speak on it. Dana White's going to speak. They're going to be talking about, man, Angela Hill, she had a nasty overhand. She had a good chin, Angela Hill. That's what's going to happen. That's what I've heard. She's going to put down her gloves in the middle of the octagon after this fight. All of MSG, the 10 people who were in attendance for this 3rd fight of the prelims, are going to be clapping for her. Theo Von's going to be going nuts because he's already there. And she's going to get a send-off into the sunset. So good for her. Up the card we go to Shepe Mariscal versus Pat Sabatini, my fellow Paisan Pat Sabatini. I'm going with Shep Mariscal here. Sabatini's kind of like a Temu, Wish.com, Sean Brady, where he really wants to control you on the ground, take you down, and he has a grappling style where he's trying to get a lot of control. And one of his only losses was to Diego Lopez, and he has 3 submission wins in the UFC. And 7 wins total, so he's been around the block for a little bit. And he did look good in his last fight against Joe Anderson Brito, where he did beat him and got a ton of control time on the ground. But one thing I question about Sabatini is, first of all, Mariscal is incredibly underrated, and his chin is kind of gone. He got chinned badly by Jamal Emmers, who was on the last card, and was able to survive and get in, I think it was a leg lock, and still submit him. But his chin has been kind of fading, and he's older. He's 2 or 3 years older, I believe. And Mariscal's on a nice run in the UFC right now. He's kind of underrated. He beat Morgan Charrier, who's a pretty exciting prospect at featherweight. Beat bloody Jack Jenkins, man. I mean, who does that to Jack Jenkins? He beat Jack Jenkins, even though I think Jack Jenkins got injured in that fight. And he also, fun fact about Mariscal, this guy lost to Steve Garcia in the LFA like 2018-ish. So he's fought some legit names. You know, I don't think he looked amazing in his last fight against Ricardo Ramos, who sucks. But he's very scrappy. He's like a little fucking midget, and he just gets after it. He has good takedown defense. He knows how to win close fights. He's in a lot of decisions. He's tough to control. I think Pat Sabatini's going to have a really hard time controlling a guy like Shepe Mariscal. And if this fight gets stuck on the feet, I think he's going to get finished and fucking chinned. And I have zero confidence in Pat Sabatini if this fight is on the feet. I think Mariscal, he also has good volume, good pace in his fights. He has good cardio. He's just a well-rounded featherweight, and he also can scramble well. So even if Sabatini is trying to shoot a lot of takedowns on this dude, I think Mariscal is going to do a good job defending it and getting out of position and getting off of the ground. So I'm going to take him by unanimous decision. I could see a finish in this fight if you're looking at something. Kind of put some money on just because Pat Sabatini's chin is absolutely fucked. But I think Mariscal will avoid getting, a grapple fucked on the ground and win this fight by either 30-27 or 29-28. Unanimous decision. Up the card we go. This is how legends are made. This is that kind of a matchup. Gerald Meerschaert versus Kyle Daukaus. GM3 versus Kyle Daukaus. The passing of the torch of unranked middleweight kind of gatekeeper. GM3 was that guy for a long time. This guy fraud checked so many people. This is a matchup where this is as good as it gets on the prelims in terms of two guys that people know that are pretty solid. If Kyle Daukaus is able to finish GM3, he takes the torch of unranked middleweight gatekeeper, journeyman GOAT. And that's a beautiful thing. GM3, I'm sorry, brother, you lost your last 3 fights. You got finished in 2 of them. Looked absolutely garbage against Nickal in your last fight, where you didn't even look like you wanted to be there. And that hurt to say. Also lost to like Brad Tavares in there somewhere. And it can't be understated how bad he looked against Mikhail Lasheshek. And I know Lasheshek is pretty solid. Like, I rate him pretty highly in terms of a middleweight prospect. But he got fucking killed in that fight. GM3, you were a great gatekeeper, buddy, and you beat a lot of dudes, but he just isn't that crafty vet anymore. That's kind of the problem. He's just not that crafty dude anymore, and I love him. And Daukaus in his last fight, and a lot of people doubted him because his first UFC stint wasn't that good. He ran through Michel Pereira in fucking Shanghai or wherever it was in China, Beijing. He destroyed him. And I know Michel Pereira is kind of a gimmick fighter, but Michel Pereira would fucking beat the brakes off of GM3 currently. And Daukaus, he has serious power. He's dangerous. He also can grapple well. There's a reason why his name's a Darce Knight. I mean, what a sick-ass nickname. He's fucking big. He's got 2 inches on GM3. And the only weakness of him is that he's kind of chinny, but I really am not worried about GM3 pulling out some fluke KO. If anything, GM3 will pull out a fluke submission in like round 3. So I'm going to take, and this hurts to say, I'm going to take Kyle Daukaus by first round KO. I just think it's going to be bad. Crowd's going to go nuts. This will be posted all over the socials. GM3, listen, the Angela Hill joking about a retirement package, that was a joke. GM3 is actually getting a retirement package because he's had more noble of a career than fucking Anthony Smith. So he's going to lose his fight. He's going to put his gloves down in the center of the octagon. And we're going to get on the Garden Jumbotron a GM3 fucking retirement package. It's going to be beautiful. There's going to be a lot of tears in the eyes. I've already predicted 2 retirements. Hey, and I'm going to spoil something. There might be a 3rd prediction for retirement later on this card. But I'm going to go Kyle Daukaus by first round finish. GM3, brother, you're cooked. Up the card we go to, I think this is just the beginning of the prelims. The early prelim main event was GM3 versus Kyle Daukaus. But Malcolm Wellmaker versus Ethan Ewing. And man, I feel bad for Ethan Ewing. He's taking this fight on 2 days' notice. It was supposed to be Cody Haddon, but he got hurt during fucking weigh-ins, however that's possible. And it really sucks because I think Cody Haddon would have gave Malcolm Wellmaker a really good fight. Like, might have beat him. I would have still picked Wellmaker to win. But it would have been a really solid fight to open up the beginning of the prelims. And Ewing is 8-2. He lost his first 2 fights as a professional. But he's won 8 in a row. Maybe he's on a JDM arc. I saw him in like some Reddit threads talking about that, which is funny. So I do kind of feel bad for him that this is your opening test against a guy who's absolutely nasty, who has great finishing, can land his right hook from anywhere, from any stance. I just feel bad for Ethan Ewing, man. And I watched a couple videos of Malcolm Wellmaker. This dude's right hook, obviously we all know it's good. We saw what it did to Chris Matino. But man, just it's a Matino or Chris Catino. I think it's Matino. But that's what's gonna happen. Ethan Ewing, buddy, sorry. Welcome to the UFC, bro. You're getting fucking put out early. Shit, if Ethan Ewing, I don't even know if they have betting odds up here, but I think he's like a plus 1,000 underdog in this. You know what I mean? He has 0 chance of winning this fight, in my opinion. 2 days' notice to fight a guy like Malcolm Wellmaker, who's one of the hottest prospects in the division, is very tough. And I wish Wellmaker, like, actually, Cody Haddon aside, I want to see this dude fight a real, either dude unk at the bottom of the rankings or like a legit dude just outside. I don't think it's be Harney Barcelos. Maybe Ricky Simone. I know he just lost, but I'm sure there's other bantamweights I can think about. He's got to fight a real name of somebody who's pretty well-rounded. Chris Matino. Yeah, okay, I guess I said that right. And, yeah, dude, Ethan Ewing, you just have no chance, man. He's also massive for the division. Malcolm Wellmaker, you're a 5'10" bantamweight with a 71.5-inch reach. He's absolutely giant for the division. And prayers to Ethan Ewing and his family. Maybe he gets a little bit of magic because his last name's Ewing and he's in the Garden, so maybe Patrick can kind of give him some help. But if he doesn't get divine intervention from Patrick Ewing, he's probably not winning this fight. So I'm going to go Malcolm Wellmaker by first round knockout. He's going to hit him with a brutal right hook, highlight reel. Crowd's going to go fucking nuts. And yeah, you'll just see Malcolm Wellmaker smiling like a nice guy. He'll get a performance bonus. It'll be beautiful. Up the card, we go to Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez II. The rematch we've all been waiting for. Aaron Blanchfield, I think I'm going to pick the win here. Tracy Cortez, I feel like, and this hurts to say, doesn't really take her career seriously. She's incredibly hot. I don't really know why she's fighting. But when you wear those long-ass eyelashes in the ring, in the octagon, excuse me, and have to adjust the mid-fight, I don't really know if I can ever pick you. Blanchfield takes her career seriously and wants to compete for a belt. She's really, her striking is horrific. Tracy Cortez has decent boxing, but Aaron Blanchfield, I think, is just going to win this by kind of just taking her down. You know, Tracy Cortez lost to Rose Namajunas, and Aaron beat her, and I feel like Rose at this point in her career is kind of a good benchmarker slash, you know, deciding factor slash measuring point for this fight. You know, Rose is very good, and Blanchfield was able to get takedowns on her. And Tracy Cortez couldn't do that to Rose Namajunas. So I'm going to take Aaron Blanchfield by unanimous decision. That's 29-28, 30-27. She's just going to out-grapple Tracy Cortez, and it sucks. But Tracy Cortez, honestly, don't fight anymore. Please, baby. Like, just come home to me. Like, I'll take care of you. Just please, like, this YouTube shit's going to blow up. But please, Tracy Cortez, stop fighting. I don't want to see you get beat up and grapple fucked by Aaron Blanchfield, but she's from New York, so we're gonna ride Aaron Blanchfield by decision. Tracy Cortez, fucking get serious about your career. You know what I mean? Up the card we go. Probably the best fight on the prelims. Maybe, like, listen, based on my prediction, you'd be like, man, you really think this would be the best fight? But Roman Kopylov versus RoboCop, Gregory Rodrigues, is as good as it gets in terms of real names on the prelims who are pretty good. I'm going to go with RoboCop, Gregory Rodrigues, in this fight. I think Kopylov really struggles when dudes put a lot of pressure on him. He got fucked up by Paulo Costa in that last fight, in a fight where a lot of people thought Roman Kopylov was going to knock him out. RoboCop puts a ton of pressure, and he has a ton of power. He's like a roid monster. I mean, look at his build. He's built like Baraka / Vanderlei Silva. And Kopylov really, again, he struggles when you get a lot of pressure and you get in his face and you fucking bark in his face like a dog. It happened with Paulo Costa. It happened with Anthony Hernandez. Gregory Rodrigues, he's coming off that nasty finish over Jack Hermanson where he knocked him out. Clearly, Jack Hermanson was outclassed. Herb Dean stood there and let RoboCop fucking pound into this dude's head a couple more times and probably took, I'd say, safe estimate 20 years off of Jack Hermanson's life, and Herb Dean didn't see anything wrong with that. So thank you, Herb Dean. That's why we love you. That's Herb Dean's fault. That's Herb Dean's fault. But again, if you get in Kopylov's face, you're gonna fuck him up. Kopylov needs to control the pace of this fight if he wants to win, and that's the case for all of his fights. And if you look back at how badly he got bullied by Fluffy and even Paulo Costa, I just don't really see that happening to a guy like RoboCop. RoboCop also beat Chris Leroy Duncan, who just had that nasty spinning back fist KO, or it gets knocked down and then finish on Marco Tulio. And that's a legit win, and that win just keeps aging well. I think RoboCop's a legit force in this division. And I know he is a bit chinny, like that. Kopylov could get a finish in this fight. But again, the pressure of RoboCop, I keep saying it, the pressure of RoboCop is going to be the difference. And he's just going to break down Kopylov. And I'm going to take him by RoboCop by second round finish, maybe like along the fence, just pounding into this guy, drops Kopylov with like a shot to the head or maybe a body shot, and then just finishes him on the ground. It's going to be brutal, but it's a banger fight. I mean, who isn't excited for Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodrigues? I mean, Gregory Rodrigues, he really put Jack Hermanson out that bad. Who does that to Jack Hermanson, man? Who does that to Jack Hermanson? Whatever, up to the feature fight of the prelims. You knew this. Anybody who knows me personally knows the beef I have with Bo Nickal. But so far in this channel's inception, he's never gotten brought up, I don't believe. Like, he's been talked about on my TikTok, on my Instagram, but I've never talked about Bo Nickal on this channel. So let it be known, I'm picking Bo Nickal to win this fight, and you can't come in the comments saying, or ever can say I ever doubted Bo Nickal. Now, I might shit on him in a few seconds, but Bo Nickal's going to win this fight. Rodolfo Viera, he's old as shit. He doesn't have anything on the feet. And I know Bo Nickal got abused by RDR, but that was such a massive jump. I don't really know why they did that. I understand why they did that, but he just wasn't ready for that. He hadn't really beat anybody that yet. I would love to pick Bo Nickal to lose this fight, but I think he seems slightly more humble after losing the RDR. Now, that'll fucking go out the window, I bet, if he wins this. But Rodolfo Viera has no KO power. He has, like, I guess, a decent jab, but he kind of relies on takedowns and just you being stupid to get you to the ground. And Bo Nickal can mix in his shitty overhands. He'll spam calf kicks and just kind of stay at range, not really do much, maybe shoot a takedown to get some control time. He's just younger. He's faster. That's how he's going to win this fight. Rodolfo Viera has nothing in his bag of tricks. And he did take down RDR, so he does have some talent. And I think he's going to win this by boring decision. The only way Rodolfo Viera wins this fight is if he flukes a fucking submission. But he gasses out all the time. And Bo Nickal, at the very least, is younger, and I don't really think he's going to gas out against Rodolfo Viera. He's going to win by unanimous decision. Everybody's going to say Bo Nickal sucks, which he does. I think it'll be a nice confidence booster for him just to get a win. Just to kind of get a win. Maybe boost his ego up more so we could keep hearing dumbass takes from Bo Nickal. And you know for a fact Bo Nickal is going to jump on the mic and say that he wants to fight at the White House, that he loves this country, and that he loves God, and that he wishes Trump could be there. And then Joe Rogan's going to get on the mic. I guarantee, like, after Bo Nickal lays on this dude or has, like, a good third round, he's going to be like, I can't believe we doubted this guy, man. I mean, Bo Nickal, like, he is tour de force wrestling, man. He was one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen at Penn State. Like, he's going to say some bullshit glazing Bo Nickal either on the mic or when he's in the, I guarantee when he gives the interview to Bo Nickal inside the octagon. There's going to be some fucking stupid glazing going on here. But whatever. I'm going to take Bo Nickal by unanimous decision. Very boring. Not much is going to be said about this fight. But yeah, it'll be a nice win for him. Let's recap the prelims. We got Mateus Camilo by unanimous decision. Maybe a submission there if you're looking for kind of someone to put on your parlay. We'll take Susurkaev by second round finish over Eric McConico. Fatima Kline by decision over Angela Hill. Chepe Mariscal beating Pat Sabatini by decision. Kyle Daukaus finishing our GOAT GM3 by first round finish. Same with Malcolm Wellmaker. He's going to finish Ethan Ewing within the first. Aaron Blanchfield's going to take Tracy Cortez by decision. And then we're going to have Roman Kopylov losing to RoboCop by second round finish. And wrapping up the prelims with Bo Nickal winning a boring unanimous decision, 29-28 decision over Rodolfo Viera. On to the main card we go. And this is why you're all watching the videos, to hear my take on Beneil Dariush versus BSD. Now, the difference between Bo Nickal is I hate Bo Nickal. I've been, I haven't been open about it on this channel, but if you've watched the channel, I hate Bo Nickal. BSD, my comments on BSD have been well documented on this channel, where I really shit on him going into that Mauricio Huffy fight, and then he absolutely dominated him. He looked better in that fight, didn't really telegraph his takedowns as much. I think Huffy had a really dumb game plan where he didn't let anything go. Maybe he was just taken back by the French crowd, but BSD really did a nice job in that fight. His striking is still abysmal, but he did a really nice job mixing in his kicks. I think he got takedowns in that fight also. And he just bitched Mauricio Huffy. And also, I'm going to take him to win this fight. Am I super confident? No. But Beneil Dariush, at the end of the day, this is kind of why this video took a while to come out. Not that this is the reason, but this is why sometimes when these videos come out later, it's better. Beneil Dariush came in 2 pounds overweight. Don't particularly like that. I think this could be a retirement if he gets finished here, or just he moves up to welterweight. BSD, he looked improved against Mauricio Huffy. He has a ton of pressure and volume, and even though he strikes like a tin man, I still think he wins this. And I've had my problems with him, but I'm kind of coming around on him. BSD is in the same category for me as like the Leon Edwards, the Bilals, like dudes I really just never liked, but I like having them in the mix because it's fun to either make fun of them, or kind of root against them, or even root for them in this case, even though I like Beneil Dariush so much more than I like BSD. I think Dariush's chin is gone. He got dropped bad by Moicano, and I know he beat Moicano, and BSD lost to him pretty bad, but I think BSD has improved a lot from that fight. If you're Dariush, he kind of fights drunk. He's going to throw those kicks to the body a ton, and that can throw off a lot of faster guys. And Benny is very good, but I just don't see Dariush getting out-grappled in this fight. The only thing that worries me is that if BSD's takedowns are really badly telegraphed in this fight, Dariush is really going to out-scramble him. That's that's the one thing I can guarantee, at least early on. And I think that could be a real reason why you would pick Beneil Dariush. But I think BSD is slightly better on the feet with his kicks. Even though his striking is so slow, sometimes it kind of works. And he seemed better after he switched coaches. And he has momentum, after beating Kyle Prepolek and styling on Mauricio Huffy. And the only thing I'm going to worry about is BSD kind of just getting out-scrambled by Dariush, and then Dariush kind of just turning it up on him and winning this by decision. But and if BSD loses this fight, I'm completely done with him. I'll fucking rip into him tomorrow night if he loses this fight. That's where I'll draw the line, BSD. If I'm going to ride with you this one time, you better fucking win. And shame on me then if he loses and I switched up on him and stopped hating him. Shame on me if that's what fucking happens. I'm going to take BSD. I think he's going to get second round finish in this fight. I know he can't really outbox anybody, but I think Dariush coming in 2 pounds overweight, the chin being pretty much gone, extremely worries me. I think BSD has improved a lot from the Dustin Poirier loss, and he just continued to get better. Even though, people can argue the Huffy fight, Huffy kind of shit the bed, I still think he's improved and he's going to win. And BSD and Beneil Dariush might fucking retire. That's my bold prediction. So 3 retirements have been predicted. He's actually getting a retirement package. Anyway, up the card we go to Leon Rocky Edwards versus Carlos CP Prates. I'm going with Carlos Prates here. Leon just has no heart anymore, man. I think he's done as the top contender. I don't really think that's a hot take, but his ugly performances as of late have been the problem. Looked like shit against Bilal. Got fucked by Sean Brady in London. I mean, he got absolutely fucking dominated, or in England, wherever the fuck it was. And he got wobbled by Nate Diaz. Carlos Prates is so much better than fucking Nate Diaz. And that Nate Diaz, I mean, if Nate Diaz had beat Leon Edwards, we'd be in a world where, Charles isn't getting chinned by Ilya. Like, that was a inflection point in the UFC where it caused a rift in the fucking world. And I think Carlos Prates is going to be the one to finish this dude. That point fighting shit that Leon Edwards is going to do isn't going to work against Prates. He's longer. I think he learned a lot from his loss against Ian Gary, where you're dealing with an Ian Gary and a guy who can move around the octagon a lot, can hit you with quick combinations as I'm going bang, 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 and then mix up calf kicks and stuff, also mixing the wrestling. But I think Prates, loses to Ian Gary, probably could have finished him in the 5th round if he was smart, dominates Jeff Neal in his next fight a couple months ago. And I think Carlos Prates, because some people have also pointed this out, about the fighting nerds and the decline they're on, I think he's kind of the one who maybe he'll never be. I'm not saying he's the best fighting nerd, is going to be the best fighting nerd when it's all said and done, but I think he's the one who is not really cursed. Like, he comes back, he dominates Jeff Neal. I feel like he has the most positive fucking PR around him, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people really like him. And I think Leon, could he win this fight? Yeah, he could chop at the legs of Carlos Prates and maybe, grapple him. I've seen people say that, but when has he ever out-grappled somebody by initiating grappling sequences? Like, his grappling is like anti-grappling, where like Kamaru Usman, where he's like reversing takedowns and throwing Kamaru Usman onto his back, but we never see him do it. He never initiates grappling sequences as the fucking train goes off behind me. And I think he could start well in the first round, because Carlos Prates, both these two dudes are not fast starters, but especially Carlos Prates, he kind of has to work himself into the fight, and he doesn't come out hot immediately. So I guess Leon Edwards could take the first round. And I'll also say this about Leon. Isn't this the first time he's fought a pure striker in a while? I mean, like his last couple fights have been Bilal, Sean Brady, Kamaru Usman, and then Colby was mixed in there. He really hasn't fought a pure striker in a while. So I think that's interesting for Leon Edwards. It probably, like, if you were to pick him, I would understand why, simply because Carlos Prates isn't going to wrestle fuck him. But he's so much faster, quicker to the punch, creates angles so much better. He has that power. And he just puts dudes out so badly. And this train. Carlos Prates has that fucking nuclear power, man. He is a nuke for an arm, as Joe Rogan would say. And he has good takedown defense too, so even if Leon Edwards decides, shit, this is gonna be the fight where I fucking really grapple fuck him, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? And Carlos Prates is going to flow on this dude. Leon Edwards isn't, moving around the octagon like an Ian Gary. He isn't mixing up with a bunch of crazy combinations in the striking. I think Prates is just going to put him away. He's going to find an angle. He can also scramble out of bad positions when he gets taken down. He kind of has underrated, defensive grappling in that sense. And Leon just got humiliated in his last 2 fights. I don't know what's next for him if he loses this. I never liked him. And I think in our 3rd round fight, Carlos Prates is favored. I just think he badly sleeps him. The Garden crowd goes nuts. I'm going with Carlos Prates by 2nd round finish. I think the 1st round, Leon, neither of these two dudes are going to do much. I bet it's going to be a boring 1st round. But then the pace is really going to pick up going in the 2nd round, where Carlos Prates is going bang, 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 bang. And then Leon Edwards just going, Rocky Leon. And then he just gets fucking knocked out. That didn't make any sense, but I just wanted to say it. Up the card, we go to the feature fight on the main card. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. And when this fight was first announced, I was like, Jesus Christ, Sean Brady. It's tough. First of all, I want to say this. I want to open up with this. Credit to Sean Brady for taking this fight. He could have sat in his ass like other top contenders, not in the welterweight division, but just in the UFC, and bitched and moaned for a title shot. But I think he realized, listen, if you want a title shot, you got to fight for it. That's the right mentality. And also, he doesn't have exactly the most exciting style. He's not the biggest name. If you beat a Michael Morales, who's this big prospect, not just size-wise, I know it says 6 foot here. I think he's like 6'2", who's got a lot of hype behind him. He's incredibly young. He's incredibly exciting. If you beat a Michael Morales, then they have no choice but to give you a title shot. And Dana White even said the winner of this fight is getting a title shot. Now, take that with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean shit. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw Kamaru Usman in there. But I think the winner of this is getting the title shot. And could I see what with Sean Brady? He gets knocked out early on the feet. Yeah, I could. Michael Morales is tricky on the feet, and he's very talented. He beat Gilbert Burns, badly in the last fight. Also got finished by the Goat Cockroach. Also finished Goat Cockroach Neil Magny. So that's how you know he's a legit force in the welterweight division. You beat Neil Magny, you at least can stay in the top 10. And he's also very big. I know it says 6 foot here and he has 79-inch reach. He's definitely taller than 6 foot. And the Gilbert Burns fight, I'll say this. I'm going to say it's a little bit of an overrated win, because Gilbert Burns has been finished for a couple years now. He hasn't looked the same in a while. And I think Michael Morales being a little bit too wild in the octagon is not going to work against a guy in Sean Brady who's very measured. And he's never seen somebody like a guy like Sean Brady in his prime. He's never had to face a dude who had a performance like Sean Brady did against Leon Edwards, where he literally stole Leon Edwards' fucking manhood from him. I think he's going to, and I actually think Sean Brady, and this might age like shit, I think he could give Islam problems in grappling exchanges. That's why I want to see the matchup. And I know it sounds wild, but I think it's true. I think he could get a late submission in this fight, most likely leading a decision. Again, Morales, he can chin Brady, but I think Sean Brady has learned a lot from getting finished by fucking Bilal, which is really the stain on his career. And he's been on a nice streak where he beat Kelvin Gastelum, beat Gilbert Burns, embarrassed Leon Edwards. I think Brady's going to blitz him early, get him down, and just kind of control him for most of this fight when he's winning. I think there'll be moments where Michael Morales is touching him up on the feet. But Sean Brady, his striking isn't great or good by any means, but he can still do some stuff up there. It's not like slick boxing or anything, but he can work his jab in there. And I think just he's going to win this fight by getting a ton of control, out-grappling Michael Morales. And I think Morales, he'll be a staple in this division, but I think this is too soon of a competition jump for Michael Morales. I'm going to take Sean Brady by unanimous decision. Again, props to him for taking on a dangerous opponent like a Michael Morales. Up the card, we go to our co-main, Valentina Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang. I'm going with Weili. Lighter woman skill coming up from fucking strawweight. She's faster. She's more dynamic in her striking. Valentina really hasn't looked that great as of recently. She's going to try and go into the clinch and out wrestle, Weili. But Weili was able to fucking win grappling exchanges over Tatiana Suarez, who is a big strawweight, and out grapple her. And I think Valentina, she's going to try to attack the legs, but I think Weili, she's going to kind of neutralize that by putting a ton of pressure on and landing quick shots. Again, Valentina hasn't looked that great in her last fight. Like that Manon Fiorot fight didn't really look that good. Didn't even look that great against Alexa Grasso. And I think Weili, she would beat the shit out of Manon Fiorot and Alexa Grasso. And I just don't see her getting out-grappled by Valentina Shevchenko. I like this challenge for Weili. Shevchenko, I just don't think, if she's going to win this fight, it's not going to be by finish. I think if anybody's going to win this fight, it's Weili. Shevchenko, again, didn't look good in those Alexa Grasso fights. Weili's fought, she's just so much better than the last couple opponents that Valentina has fought. And I think she just would dominate them if they were to go down to fucking strawweight. You know what I mean? I think Weili wins this by a close decision. if there is a finish, I think it'll be like an arm bar or something from Weili. I don't really have a ton of analysis to say on this fight. I just think Valentina Shevchenko, if she doesn't lose this, maybe she loses to what's her face, Natalia Silva. You know, I think she's just due for a loss. So anybody picking Valentina Shevchenko, understand something. I just think she's old, even though she's only a year older than Weili. I think her age is there more. Her age shows more. She hasn't looked as good in her last few, performances in the UFC. And I just think she's just that chick, bro. She's a bad bitch, Weili, bro. She's going to fuck you up. And she's going to cement herself as the greatest women's MMA fighter of all time. You heard it from me first. Not, fucking Amanda Nunes, who's practically a dude. Weili's winning this shit. And the UFC probably wants her to win to kind of tap into that China market and, Asian market a little bit more. I think it works better if Weili kind of wins. They want that Chinese market. They want to keep going over there. Anyway, moving on to our main event of the evening. Fucking JDM versus Islam Makhachev. Islam Madurkadurk. This is as good as it gets. This is probably again, I did a whole video recapping this. If you want to watch that for kind of a more in-depth breakdown, but I still have things to say here. I'm picking JDM to win by decision. I saw Guru pick JDM by fucking 3rd or 4th round. I'm just going to put my thing out here right now. I know a lot of people I saw him pick JDM to win by 3rd or 4th round finish. I think that's absolutely insane. I think JDM would have to be so locked in, and Islam would have to really look like absolute shit for that to happen. And I have a lot of respect for JDM. I think he's really underrated. I think he's going to go down as one of the best welterweights ever. But there's no chance that happens. Listen, JDM is going to have the advantage on the feet against Islam. That's a given. We all know that. With his combinations to the body, to the head, landing uppercuts, landing knees when you're trying to shoot takedowns on him. His head movement's elite. And Islam's obviously going to have the advantage in the grappling. JDM, again, he has that underrated grappling defense. When he's keeping that high guard, moving around, moving his head around, kind of pinning his head into your shoulder, blocking takedowns. He's really good against the fence. Islam also really good at getting takedowns with trips and sweeps along the fence. That's kind of his bread and butter, so it'll be interesting to kind of see the matchup between these two dudes when they're in, hugging each other along the fence. This JDM, is he able to stay up, or is Islam going to get him down? Again, is JDM and I went JDM and Craig Jones have been in their bag defending against the signature chokes of Islam and the Kimura and the fucking Dariush choke. You can point back to the JDM fight where he gets taken down a ton by Gilbert Burns. Most of them occur in the middle of the octagon, so I think Islam will try and shoot in the middle. Even though he's not great at doing it, I think he's going to try. And JDM, even when Gilbert Burns was on his back, he did a great job scrambling to get back up. He took risks that when you watch back the Volk fight, Volk would get taken down, and he was comfortable just lying there in the back, even though, Islam wasn't getting sub attempts off of him. Volk wasn't taking any of those risks. And listen, that has partially to do with he's a smaller guy. He's a featherweight. Islam's naturally so much bigger and so much stronger. So it's kind of harder for him to take those risks. But JDM can take those risks because he is bigger and he is stronger. And I think you look back at that Poirier fight. Look how much Islam Makhachev struggled to get Dustin Poirier down in the middle of the octagon. His trips were really all that worked. That's what I point to. He struggled against, that's the blueprint for this fight. A bigger lightweight in Dustin Poirier, who's about 5'10", and Islam was having a real hard time taking this dude down in the center of the octagon. And JDM is in his prime. He's not like a washed Dustin Poirier, where he's going to look even better. His takedown defense is better. He's better at all aspects than Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier even was mixing in his combos and splitting up Islam Makhachev. That's the thing. JDM, his striking is so much better than fucking Dustin Poirier at this point in his career. Listen, I do think there's a world where Islam Makhachev gets this guy down early, which is what he's going to do. He's going to shoot takedowns early in the first and second round. I think if Islam's going to get a finish in this fight, it's going to be in the first or second round. Or like a Disney Channel ass fucking 5th round finish where the clock's ticking down and he whips out a Dariush choke or something after he gets him on the ground. I think he's going to avoid that striking on the feet. His one advantage on the feet is going to be his, kicks to the body, kicks to the head, which he did once against Volk, but I just figured I'd mention it. JDM, he'll dip his head down sometimes trying to, when he's trying to keep that high guard defending those takedowns, and Bilal hit him once with a kick, and Islam has better kicks than that, so he can definitely do that. I think that's one thing he can do better he can exploit in JDM's game. But I just I don't think he can do enough on the feet, even though I think he is underrated striking. I think some of his overall striking numbers are good, but he's not going to take the angles that JDM's going to take. He's not going to rip shots to the body like JDM is. JDM's just going to physically tax him. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to be the difference in this fight. JDM ripping shots to the body along the cage in the center of the octagon. You know, stuffing a lot of takedowns in the center of the octagon. Look, he's going to get taken down. I'm not saying JDM's going to come out here 12 for 12 on takedown defense. He's going to get taken down in this fight, as I just fucking scared myself by hitting that phone. But, again, I'm just taking JDM to win this. I think he's just got the clutch gene. He doesn't get subbed. Gilbert Burns struggled to get any submission attempts off on this guy. Bilal couldn't do shit. Bilal's a great offensive grappler. And he couldn't get he got one takedown where JDM tried to initiate a takedown and like Islam threw, not Islam, Bilal essentially did like a judo throw and threw him over his head, which is cool. JDM's great off of, you know, JDM's great when you have his back. He can get those sick fucking scrambles and get back to his head. I just think this is the different level for Islam. He's going to deal with a guy who's in his prime. He's not 100 years old. He's not a fucking featherweight. He doesn't have holes in his game. JDM's elite everywhere. He can do everything. Maybe not submission game, but you know what I mean. He could do all of the grappling in terms of defensive grappling. He's elite on the feet. He's fucking clutch. He's going to get in Islam's face. He's going to make it scrappy. He's hard to control. He's hard to submit. And I just think he's going to win by damage and by decision. He's just going to slow down. He's just tough to control. Again, I keep saying it. Islam's going to have a tough time holding this fucking guy down. And I think he's going to have a hard time getting off sub attempts on a JDM. And JDM's calm, cool, and collective. And I'm just going to say I'm glad I am alive to watch this matchup because this is generational. I think this is going to be one of those fights you tell your kids about. Now, if Islam wins, I will never acknowledge this fight again. I'll probably delete my channel. If Islam Makhachev beats JDM, and I like Islam too, so that's partially a joke. But just two dudes who are both in their primes. They match up against each other very well. They're both so fucking good. Probably the biggest welterweight fight since, GSP versus BJ Penn when they're in their primes. Both two dudes who have insane cardio. They're going to bleed a ton. It's going to be end of the fight, end of the 5th round, holding their hands both up thinking they win. And then we have it, and still, Jack Della Maddalena, and he's going to win. And then Islam, who knows what's next for him? I don't really know what happens for if he wins. I think listen, if Islam wins, I don't think it's bad for the UFC whatsoever. If anything, it's better because he's the bigger name. But man, I just want the whole fucking casuals everywhere to learn how good JDM is. And he's going to win this fight. All the Dagestan bums from India and fucking Colorado are going to be crying on Twitter, probably saying it's a robbery. It'll be a clear win. He's going to punch Islam's face in. I would love to see Islam get finished, even as a dude who likes him. I want to see one of these quote-unquote unbeatable dudes go down. You know what I mean? At a certain point, you just want to see him get finished. And he's finished all my guys. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, Volk twice. Moicano. I couldn't say that with a straight face. But JDM, he's that guy. He's going to win by decision. Maybe a 5th round KO if he's entirely locked in. But that's just what I think. I think JDM's winning this fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the support on the videos. Make sure to like this up. Share with your friends. Show it to your mom. Show it to your grandma. Make sure everybody in your house is watching the JDM versus Islam Makhachev masterclass that is going to occur on Saturday, tomorrow night, because it's going to be fight of the ages, fight of the fucking century. Thank you all for watching. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.